What are my top 5 Malternatives for 2024? I'm Jeff, this is gwhisky, stick around. Alright, so it's that time of year, we're coming up to the end of 2024, which means I'm going to kick off my awards videos. So best of the best of what I had this year. You can expect a few of these videos in the coming weeks, but I figured for today, we'll start things off with Malternatives. And just what exactly is a Malternative? I don't hear you ask, because that's not how pre-recorded videos work. Well, a Malternative is basically anything that's not a single malt. So it can be blends, it can be bourbons, brandies, rums, it can be Irish. It could even theoretically be a vodka. But don't worry, it will never be a vodka. My preference is for barrel-aged spirits because I'm posh like that, and you will be seeing a few different genres of spirits. Genres? Yeah, genres of spirits in this video, and my hope is that these aren't going to be too hard to find, but obviously that's going to depend on you, where you are, and your market. This list is in ascending order of preference, with number 1 being my Malternative of the year, and it's also my mystery pour in the glass right here. Normally I'll give you guys a hint for this stuff, so your hint is this picture right here. Best of luck guessing, and let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into our list. In the meantime, if you'll kindly leave a like down below, that'd be greatly appreciated. All right, so kicking things off, coming in at number 5 at the back of this list, I've got Ichiro's Malt and Grain. This is the cheapest of the series. It's the white label release, and this is a blend of whiskey from around the world, malt and grain whiskeys from around the world, including Canada, America, Ireland, Scotland, and Japan. So it's a hell of a mishmash, but it works. And I know that sounds like something that definitely should not work, but it actually does. It's got that Japanese precision. I don't know. But we have a great combination of flavors here. This one comes in at 46%, and it's just a really balanced, interesting, and characterful whiskey, more so than you'd expect. It's really not the Frankenstein mashup that you think it's going to be. It's quite cohesive. Now, the reason I put it at the back of this list, well, there's a couple of reasons. Number 1 is that it is very good, but it's not mind-blowing. And reason number 2, more importantly, is that this is not consistently priced across markets. So here in Taiwan, I can buy it for the equivalent of about 45 American dollars. And for that, I think it's great. If you go over to Japan, you can get it for like 25 to 30 dollars. But I know that in a lot of Western markets, this one can be overpriced. So if you're being asked to pay like 70 or 80 bucks for this, definitely skip it. It's good, it's not that good, but if you can get it for a reasonable price, this is a well-composed and interesting whiskey, and yeah, just really solid stuff. Comes in at number 5, Ichiro's Malt and Grain, the white label. Next up at number 4, we've got a rum. In fact, we have the only rum on this list, and you can take this with a grain of sugar because I'm not a rum guy. I'm not an expert in rum, and I definitely didn't have a lot of rum this year, but I did have a few, and among those, my favorite was this one right here. It is the Foursquare Covenant. This is a molasses-based Barbanian rum. It's a full 18 years old. It comes in at a hefty 58% ABV, and it's been entirely matured in ex-bourbon barrels. And this is just a rich, complex, and beautiful pour. However, there is a downside to this bottle, and that is the price. This is easily the most expensive bottle on this entire list. It comes in my market at around 130 US. And I think in a lot of places, it'll end up being more expensive than that. Do I think it's worth it? Sure, if you like your characterful, rich, complex rums and you want a special occasion pour, you could go for it, but just because it is so pricey, I did want to put it towards the back of the list. Regardless, it's beautiful stuff. Foursquare Covenant. Number 3 is an Armagnac. It's from one of my favorite Armagnac houses. Now, Armagnac is not always available in every market. I think in most places in Europe and some parts of North America you can find it, but it's not everywhere. But if you're in an area where you can get a hold of Armagnac, there is a strong likelihood that they sell Tariquet. And Tariquet is one of my favorite houses. It's got a lot of distribution. It's widely available. My choice for this year is the cast strength 12-year-old. And funny enough, my number 1 pick for my Malternatives video last year, my Malternative of the year for 2023, was the Tariquet 15. This year, I'm going with the 12. The 15, also beautiful. In fact, this entire series is wonderful stuff. They have 8, 12, 15, 25, probably some others. I haven't tried them all, just the 8, the 12, the 15. Where the 15 leans into these very dark, leathery type notes, the 12 gives us a little bit more balance. So we have some brighter, fresher elements, but we still get some of that depth, some of that darkness. It's wonderful. This gives us a nice cast strength of 48.2%, and Obviously, depending on your market, you should be able to find this for around $60 US, and for that, I think it's worth every penny. So highly recommend it. Comes in at number 3, gwhiskytw. All right, so we're in the top 2, and this is where it got really competitive because I got well into bourbon this year, a lot more than I have in previous years. Some of you will approve of that, some of you won't. But yeah, I really struggled with which one I'd be putting in the first place and second place because for me, they are quite close. Ultimately, though, for the second place, I settled on Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Now, if any of you guys out there watch Bourbon Tube, you know that Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is already an extremely popular pick, and all the bourbon guys have been singing about it for years, but I only first got my hands on a bottle this year, and I really like it. Now, the issue with this bourbon is that it can be very hunted, which is not to say that it's impossible to find. You can find it, it'll pop up every so often, but it tends to sell out pretty quickly, especially if it's a popular batch. And while we're on the topic of popular batches, a lot of the better regarded batches, they can get flipped for way more than they're worth. Luckily for me, my buddy Tim in California managed to pick up a bottle of this at the recommended retail price of $80. Tim, thank you very much. For that money, this is a banger. I think it's well worth it, even though the bottle that I've got, or the batch that I've got, is not a well-regarded batch. Although I think that has less to do with quality of flavor and more to do with the age that people think it should have. The batch I've got, B523, is the first batch to be under 12 years of age. It's 11 years and, I don't know, 7 months, whatever. It's 11 years and something, and people got pissed off because they wanted that higher age statement, so they think this batch signals a decline in quality. Now, I don't buy enough bourbon. This is my first bottle of Elijah Craig, so I can't speak to that. All I can say is that I enjoy the bottle. This is a very rich, intense, flavorful bourbon. Wonderful sweetness in here, nice balance of flavors, 62.1%, so not playing around. I think it's excellent stuff. Comes in at number 2, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Okay, number 1, we've reached my Malternative of the year. This is a phenomenal whiskey. It's another bourbon. What I'm drinking is Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Barrel Proof. This whiskey is a banger, and it's underappreciated. I think there's a couple of factors as to why it's underappreciated. I think the first one is probably just the fact that it's Jack Daniel's. It's a very big, very corporate brand, and based on that, maybe it loses a little bit of respect. I don't know. And the other is that it's just so available. A lot of the bourbons that people lose their minds for are the things that some people can find while others can't. Almost anyone can find this one, which is why I wanted to put it at number 1, as opposed to the Elijah Craig, which, as I said, can sell out quickly. Now, in terms of quality and flavor, I probably do prefer the Elijah Craig, although I had to factor in a few things. Not just availability, but the Elijah Craig at MSRP is more expensive. So this one, in the States, you can get for as cheap as around $60. It might be more in some states, I don't know, but $60 versus the $80 for the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, if you can find it. But yeah, this Jack Daniel's, man, for $60, you're getting a lot. I think it's got incredible flavors, incredible intensity. Okay, to be fair, this is not $60. This is a half bottle, $30. But full bottle, $60, fantastic value. So yeah, I think it's an overlooked, underloved bourbon, and it's available. It's affordable. Go out and get it. It's number 1, Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Barrel Proof. All right, that was the list, guys. That was my top 5 Malternatives of 2024, and my number 1 Malternative of the year, Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Barrel Proof. Of course, I want to hear from you. What is your Malternative of the year? What are some of your favorite Malternatives that you had in 2024? Again, they can be rums, brandies, bourbons, blends, anything that's not a single malt. Also, what do you think of my list? Have you had any of these? What are your thoughts on them? Do you agree with me, or have I lost my mind? I'm very much looking forward to reading your comments, and that brings us to the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and if you guys want to help support the channel, if you want to help keep me financially sustainable and independent, there are a number of ways that you can help. I have both Patreon and PayPal linked down below. Anything and everything helps, and if you're already supporting, massive thank you, and I guess we'll catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.